What's the most stupid rule in your school workplace? When I was still in high school, slow clapping in the auditorium was listed as an offense you could be punished for. We had the same rule in my high school. We also couldn't be mockingly enthusiastic while singing our school's Alumni Mater, which we did after every assembly. My old elementary school had extreme policies against blood. One time my tooth got knocked out, and I got a blood stain on my shirt, and they made me put a band-aid on the shirt. Well, they didn't want the shirt to bleed out. Duh. The CEO of my company created a Google spreadsheet to document everything that goes on. Everything: quotes, sales orders, PM activity, drafter assignments, shipping stuff, everything. Never mind that we have an ERP system set up, or other computer programs that track this shit. He wants all of us to live by this Google document, and it isn't even tied to any of our software. It just exists out in space, and it's just one more thing we have to keep track of over the 100 other things we're responsible for. The school my son attends does not allow the wearing of hoodies in the school unless the pocket is sewn shut. Their problem is not with the hood, but with the fact that the kids can touch their hands together inside their pocket. You cannot help anyone outside your department without permission. You have to take a training course offered by the university in order to use their milling, lathe, etc. machines in a workshop. The training courses don't exist. We can't bring down our bags, purses with us to drop off kids at their buses at the end of the day because it makes kids think we are in a rush to go home. They are kids and they do not care. They want to go home. To edit, I'm a primary school teacher. You can't wear your own jacket, even when it's freezing outside, and our jackets aren't prepared for those temperatures. My school. Funny thing was, my school didn't have uniform, but we also had a no jacket during the school day rule. You had to put it in your locker. The bad thing was when there would be snow outside, and kids would have to go out to classes in portables without their coats. Must wear dress shoes. I work in a duck-in call center. Who the duck cares about what I wear on my feet? Graduate students cannot receive raises. The quality, quantity, or importance of their work does not matter. What you get when you start is what you get when you end. This rule has created a number of terrible situations. Right now, there are third-year students working as supervisors on multi-million-dollar grants earning literally thousands of dollars less than the data coders they supervise. There are students with poor work ethic and grades making 14% more than our program's top performers. What's worse, these discrepancies appear to be related to demographic variables. But since grad students aren't employees, ethical standards need not apply. Academia essentially runs on slave labor. Our grad students are planning a strike because the cost of grad housing went up, but the grad pay did not. Fingers crossed it works. Grad students are instrumental on a campus of 35,000. My department head wants me to keep a written logbook, but also email him my list of tasks at the end of the week. He insists it must be written in the book. I'm not allowed to print out what I have already typed. It's ridiculous. Not so much the rule, but a teacher's method of enforcement. So back in the 2010, in my high school you weren't allowed to use your phone in class or between classes. This also included listening to music in the hallways, since most students used to run the headphones up under their shirt. This one teacher used to cut the earbuds of students listening to music. This became an issue when people started using more and more expensive earbuds. In high school we had a rule that said we couldn't wear Red Corps gangs. Keep in mind this was in rural Oklahoma, where the closest actual gang was in Dallas, TX some 120 miles away. Plot twist, the school colors were red and blue. Not really a rule, but it pisses me the duck off that optional company outings are still being forced down our throats. They try to guilt trip us by saying, oh, it's for you. It's how the company appreciates you. The company will spend money on this. We get that, but I'm a person who doesn't want to lose my weekend. I don't give a duck if y'all say I won't experience the team building aspect of it. I perform consistently above expectation. I work well with my team with or without that leave my weekends alone. If you really wanted us to come, and if you really valued us, you schedule that on the weekdays and pay us. Don't make us spend our weekends with work people. They say it's optional, but when we go into our annual appraisals, attendance for said events are factored in. Granted, it's minimal, but still it irks me that I lose on some small because of company events attendance. Absolute BS. No hot food at our desk, even stuff like toast, but I can have a cup of tea at my desk. I know which one would be more of a disaster if I knocked it over. Sounds like somebody got tired of having incredibly aromatic foods nearby and made a shitty blanket rule. I used to work in an office where you had to ask to go to the bathroom. They also had a very aggressive attendance policy. Someone came in with norovirus a few weeks into the new policy. You can guess how that went. My supervisor was male too, and asked why I had to go to the bathroom so much one week. I told him I was on my period. He acted disgusted and asked why I couldn't hold it. Yes. I will just call up my uterus and tell it to stop shedding its liner from 9:5 every day. This is a reasonable request. Hello, uterus. My boss doesn't understand female anatomy and would like you to cut it out, please. Assigned seating at lunch. It is the worst thing ever and absolutely pointless. Not my current school, but at my middle school during recess every student had to wear a necklace with a piece of paper listing all the outdoor rules for the entirety of recess. And if you took it off, you had to go back to class. No cell phones at work. No charging of phones at work. The reasoning being that phones are nothing but a distraction, and you don't get to leech off the electricity bill. Mind you, this place is a huge banquet hall. Servers are spread over 3, sometimes 4 floors. Phones are an incredibly useful tool then. Can I call Roger down in storage and tell him to bring more red wine glasses, since he is already down there getting supplies for the bar? No, I have to go down there myself, losing valuable time. And since some people seem to suggest this rule wasn't an issue, I might add that without phones we did sometime run around the entire building looking for our head waiter, who could be accepting a delivery down in the basement, managing some paperwork in the office, or greeting someone at the door. We were in general a very hard-working bunch, and efficiency at work was noticeably improved once we started blatantly disregarding the rules. And you don't get to leech about electricity bill. Estimated cost of charging a phone 4 cents per year. Company likes to say they have an open door policy. A couple coworkers spend the majority of their day chit-chatting watching movies instead of doing work, and our manager said she didn't want to hear any more complaints about it because we were just being petty and to keep our complaints to ourselves. You may not wear Birkenstocks or anything of the sort within my classroom, said the teacher wearing a fresh pair of Birkenstocks. It was a power move. Didn't want anyone to steal their style. No drinks at the check stands, because it isn't polite. I have never had a customer complain about keeping myself hydrated, so I can keep myself at 100%. The one that annoys me the most is no music. We used to be able to bring in speakers and play some music at a not so loud volume to make the shift go better in our department. But they don't trust us to play music and be able to pay attention to our job. So we've been told not to bring in any music. There's been a noticeable lack of spirit since then. You aren't allowed to get in the school building until school starts, no matter how cold it is. At my previous workplace, the manager at the office didn't let us have chit-chats during down hours. What's wrong with getting to know my coworkers? I ended up not knowing much about my coworkers except for their names. Catholic schools always have this weird barber's cut only rule for male students. Whenever someone asks why, was this even a rule aside from looking uniform or just for discipline, they'll always say, because men are more handsome in that cut, or because long hair is for the devil or troublemakers. That last part didn't make any sense, because didn't Jesus duck in Christ have long hair in his life? We used to have a peacetime implemented in grade school. We had to be quiet for the last 15 minutes of our lunchtime. Everyone had to speak in a hush manner during the period. The problem was, the officers for each class used it as a power tripping method for writing up noisy students. This then caused people to make it a game and force each other to make noise, tickling, slapping, etc. And it was implemented, I presume, for the benefit of the teachers who just had enough of the noise kids were making during lunchtime. However, it backfired immensely, since people were making up for the 15 minutes by being extra noisy before the start of peacetime, and also during that little pocket of free time right after peacetime and just before the teacher comes back. Sometimes it would spill over during activities in class. We cannot crochet at our desks while on break. Supervisor found it was too distracting to my coworkers. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.